Good to go? Well, welcome to Carter's Corner. Happy holidays, it's 2024. As always, I would like to say I will not confirm or deny all the things that we talk about are true. I'll leave it up to you to decide what's not. I will say that over 90%, Ed, would probably be true today.
I would think so.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, joining us is Ed Turkot-Samsky, my neighbor. He's our neighborhood attorney. He says he went to law school. I can't really confirm what his status was there. All I know is he gives us free advice when legal matters come up. And that becomes later on in this episode. He's going to join us and he'll talk more about that. Little background. Ed moved into the neighborhood about 4 years ago. I needed a dentist, so I hooked him up with mine. He's always been a good dentist, never had any problems. And so we both go there. What I'm going to talk about is the last time I went to the dentist, and I had to have a crown put on. And, I went in there to the office, and, everything was normal. And, the dentist, started, drilling and picking and gave me Novocaine and all kinds of stuff. And so everything is going as planned. And you know how you're in the dentist chair, you sort of, I don't know, I close my eyes and I sort of drift off a little bit while they're drilling and doing whatever they're doing. But I did happen to notice that his assistant, at one point in time, must have nudged me or something, and I sort of just barely opened my eye, and she went over to the sink, and I guess she was like washing the crown out or something, cleaning it up before we put it in my mouth, and I didn't think anything of it, and so she comes back, and that's when I had this, it was almost like a Steinfeld episode. Remember when Jerry Steinfeld was in the dentist chair on one of his shows, and he sort of woke up and the dentist and the assistant were buttoning up their clothes? Well, this is sort of what happened. The dentist started, once he went to the sink and brought the crown back, started working on me again. We put the crown in and take it out and refit things and that sort of thing. At one point in time, the dentist put the crown down on my tooth, and I opened up my right eye, and I look at that sink again, and I'm like, I'm looking, staring at it. Now the sink, the faucet, in back of it had a handle, and the handle was standing about 6 inches up. It was ceramic, and it looked just like a penis. And on the top of the handle, the head of it looked just like a penis head. And I'm like, what? What the hell's that? And so then I started, having all these thoughts in my mind. I said, well, the dentist assistant was over there monkeying around over there by that sink. And what the hell was she doing with that? And I was like, maybe she was giving an oral exam or something. I don't know. I'm like, oh, this is like all these things going in my head. I said, this is crazy. And so the dentist starts to get back, we sort of get away from that, and the dentist starts to put the crown back on my tooth. And he goes, oh, I'm trying out some new glue. I'm like, and so you bite down, it's probably going to taste bad. I'm like, oh, this is really getting bad, Ed. I don't know what's going on here. So we, it sort of comes to an end, that gets the crown on, and I never said anything, but I'm like, I felt a little bit violated, Ed, it's like, so we pack up our stuff, and I go out and I pay, and I say nothing more, and I go home, and a couple of days goes by, and I see Ed across the street, and he's in his driveway, and I walk over there, and I said, Ed, when's the next time you're going to the dentist? He goes, by the way, I'm going in a couple of days. I said, well, why you ask? I said, well, I told him a story about what happened to me at the dentist. I'm like, I might have just had too much Novocaine or something. I just imagined. I don't even know if that thing really was a penis, shaped handle. But when you go over there, check it out. And Ed said to me, hey, I got this, Pete. Don't worry about it. So I'll turn the rest of it over to Ed. And he can tell you what he went back and what he saw, and whether he verified what information I had.
Well, Pete, the interesting fact is that I too was going for my first crown. And I was a little nervous. Never had a crown before. Other than when I was in Burger King and they put one of those crowns on my head. And I didn't think it was going to be quite the same experience. But I went to our dentist, and as usual, he was very jovial and welcoming. And the one thing that I kept in mind is I've always been pretty amazed at your sort of Sherlock Holmesian powers of observation. So I went in with the preconception that I don't think you were hallucinating. I don't think there was any anesthesia effect, especially since it was Novocaine. So I was at least going to look very closely. During the process, I will have to admit that I was, I guess if I were going to look at it diagnostically, I would say with dentists, I suffer from chronic wussitis. So my eyes were submitted shut the whole time. So during the entire procedure, I was unaware of anything. I was waiting like on the edge of my seat, even though I was in a funny kind of laid back position. I knew at some point I was going to experience abject pain. Luckily, it never happened. Credit the dentist for that. He's very good in terms of that. And as you know, I'm usually fairly short of words. And I found at this particular session, the dentist and or his assistant did all the talking, which I think was trying to distract me, which was a good thing in my case. Finally, the ordeal's over. I think I lost a few pounds of sweat, but other than that, I emerged unscathed. And from a cognitive point of view, I think I was my usual sharp as a tack. Okay. So, once everyone had sort of begun to clear out of the room, I then did what I thought was a fairly thorough examination. And I took several different angles to look at it, and I sort of telescoped from wide angle to close up, just to make sure of what I was seeing, because sometimes, light, shadows, a lot of things could be playing into effect. Well, it is my conclusion that that particular sink apparatus was definitely phallus in shape. There was no question. I mean, I'm not sure that someone under the age of 5 might have recognized, but I think any adult, male or female, would have come away with the same observation that you did. And I trotted out, and I did raise this issue with the dentist, not in a judgmental or accusatory way. In fact, had I been more aware of that, that might have served as a fine distraction during the whole procedure. But just sharing what I was seeing. Well, all I can say is he was in adamant denial that that sink had a phallus shape. it wasn't the sink, but the apparatus that allows the sink to do something. And I, I just sort of shook my head and just said, well, I guess people see things differently. And I exited the facility.
You did happen to mention that you weren't the only one that noticed that, right?
I did mention, I did not.
Because of HIPAA?
Yeah, I did not use names. But I said, I thought, in fact, I said, I know there is one other person who also had the same observation.
Mm-hmm.
And I left it at that. And interestingly, I've had several more visits, and the topic has never resurfaced.
Did you actually see it again?
Unfortunately, I wasn't in the correct room. And the other 2 times I was there, that room was occupied. So as much as I kept trying to slide my way over,
Yeah.
I was always ushered away. Now,
That tells you something right there.
it could.
I mean,
I mean-
they're trying to hide something, I think.
they could be trying to hide something. I mean, HIPAA would have been their excuse.
Yeah.
But I think it was interesting that I don't think that Travis Kelce's brother, who was a guard on the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't think he could block me any better than they did. from
Yeah.
Getting
Yeah.
a good eye view into that
Didn't
room.
you tell me you got ushered out of there kind of fast, too?
It was yes. They were not unhappy to see me leave.
Hmm.
And usually, and that's what's funny, they're usually very happy to see me leave and not so happy to see me come. But this time it was a complete reversal.
Wow.
So it was definitely an interesting experience, and it seems to me that there is a mystery underfoot.
Well, I have an appointment in a couple weeks,
Ah,
and I'm not gonna be in the surgical room, I'm gonna be with the hygienist, so I don't know if they'll let me in there. But,
I think it'll depend upon if anyone's in that
Yeah.
room.
yeah, it should be interesting whether or not they've made any arrangements to change what's going on in there.
The other, you do, if there is no one occupying that space at the time, you could say, I think I left a hat or what that I might have left in that room when I was here the last time.
Yeah. Well, I told my daughter and her husband the story, and they want me to get a picture of it. And I said, that's gonna be awful hard. Because they watch that room like a hawk now, I think, unless they've changed stuff,
It's very unfortunate because I had in my possession from my father what used to be called a spy camera. It was a Minox, very small. You could one-handedly, you could snap, nobody even know.
Yeah,
And I gave it to my daughter.
yeah.
But
Well, I'll tell you one thing,
Oh.
that apparatus, that handle was not small.
that's, no, it was not. However, that may be the one thing about a cell phone today,
Yeah.
is it's not hard to get a picture off of that,
Yeah.
fairly quickly, and it's
Yeah.
something that everybody has, so it's not something that
Yeah.
raises.
Well, when I raised the question about this whole thing with my daughter and her husband, they went online and they, somehow typed in, what type of apparatus looks like this, and they came up with some stainless steel ones. Believe it or not.
Well, that
But
was
this was ceramic.
Oh, that
white.
was-
It was white ceramic.
Oh,
Which
okay.
it brings up even more suspicion as to where they got that thing.
And why?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I was thinking if it was stainless steel, that, almost all the places have stainless steel.
Yeah.
So that is very
Yeah, it was
interesting
white
point.
ceramic.
I told you.
Yeah.
Those acute powers of observation.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, it's the old hunting skills. In the woods a lot, you're looking around, you sort of zoom right in. When I opened up my eye caught that and I'd like automatically zoom right in on that thing.
Well, you know, you mentioned the woods, and I have to commend you on your studio because it has a whole woodsy.
The ambience.
Oh
yeah.
my God, it's you know you could go through a lot of emotions here from feeling just ducky to feeling a little fishy to feeling a little horny. I mean, it's all here in this studio.
Yeah.
I am amazed.
Yeah.
So I commend you on
Yeah.
you know your creativity.
Yeah.
So you have a revisit occurring.
I revisit, and I thank you for verifying all the information that I shared with today.
Well, you know I'm headed south
Yeah.
for the rest of the winter.
You're a snowbird.
But
Yeah.
I expect a call
Yeah.
right after the visit, or right
Yeah.
after you've recovered
Yeah.
from the visit,
Yeah.
and to let me know what you saw. Because from that point, we'll have to think of what the next step should be.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to go
Oh.
back.
And that there is a first, that someone can't wait to go back to
Yeah.
the dentist.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's something we will look forward to.
I think that about wraps it up for this Carter's Corner. And we'll see you the next time.